Joining us now is Robert Pape, political science professor at the University of Chicago. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, there you have Machado praising Trump, and yet Trump is not saying, at least at this point anyhow, that she is the right woman to lead this country in the future. What do you make of that?
I'm not surprised that, given Trump's goals, I'm not surprised of his position. I wish he had a different position. I wish this was about building democracy, but that's not what President Trump is interested in. He said it over and over again since Saturday. This is 100% about control of the oil for the United States, not about giving the resources back to the people or democracy in Venezuela. And what that means, as he said, is that the people behind him, that is the people in the White House, control that oil. That's what he's looking for. That's what he's in discussions for. And yes, you heard the Nobel Peace Prize winner offer to make Venezuela a oil hub and so forth. But that's not what he wants. He's not trying to open Venezuela up to the world. He's trying to capture the profits for America and the Trump administration to do with as it wishes.
So what does that actually look like, Robert? Because at this point, the only American oil company that's working inside Venezuela is Chevron. So does that mean opening up the floodgates to all American oil companies to build up what is already a very robust reserve?
He's already, according to the media, the Wall Street Journal this morning, in detailed conversations to do essentially just that. But there's a big obstacle that's in the way, and that's security for those civilian contractors. You see, Venezuela is ripe for resistance, violent resistance. The terrain in Venezuela has the jungles of Vietnam, the mountains of Afghanistan. Those oil fields here are right around those areas, and that means there's plenty of terrain for small groups of little bad guys, call them guerrillas, terrorists, or insurgents, whatever you want, to hide and then go and shoot at their discretion and at their time and choosing those civilian contractors and so forth. So the security problems here are pretty large scale, which is why I think President Trump has put Marines, thousands of Marines, on the ships just off the coast of Venezuela. That is not just a naval armada. It's not just air power. What are those Marines doing there? That's not enough to control Caracas. That's not enough to control 25 or 30 million people. That's what you would do to have the first chance or instance of perimeter security for those oil fields. But even with that, I don't think it'll ultimately work.
So let's go back to the root of all of this. You're saying it's oil, getting control of those vast oil reserves, the largest oil reserves in the world, I should say. Trump would say this is about drugs, getting control of the fleet of tankers in this area of the ocean was about drugs. The charges against Maduro are about narco-drug trafficking. You're saying it's not drugs, it's oil.
I'm saying that rhetoric all changed on Saturday. It's stunning to go back and listen to Trump's speech and then the interviews on Air Force One and then the subsequent interviews. You see, the people around Trump, Pam Bondi and others, they want to make it about something other than oil because it looks so bad. This is just imperialism 101. President Trump is not, he doesn't mince words. You usually know what he's thinking. It's right on his mind. And he is telling, and the reason he's got to be so clear is because he wants the now new leader of Venezuela to do his bidding. And so if she doesn't know what that is and is somehow confused, then that just gets in his way. He's got a very clear directive. He wants that oil to be controlled by the White House, and that means the profits controlled by the White House, not just simply the flow. And so he's not really beating around the bush about that. That's why this really is very simple and shocking at the same time.
You have studied regime changes around the world for a number of years now. Does this read to you like a regime change, or is this simply a reshuffling if the interim president and Maduro faithful Delcy Rodriguez remains in power?
This is the beginning of what may become a bigger regime change, but it is clearly what I call leadership decapitation. So my book, Bombing to Win, is all about air power and leadership decapitation. I taught for the U.S. Air Force. I know quite a bit about the operations involved here with leadership decapitation. So this is what this is. Now, when you decapitate the leader, you often end up breaking the regime anyway, because it's like a mafioso family, these regimes. This is not like an American democracy. So what you have here is when that top leader, think of it as the Don in The Godfather, is knocked out, then the little groups underneath start to fight among themselves and backstab each other and sometimes kill each other. And that is where then that what you would call the regime change or the fragility would come from. President Trump's actually perfectly happy with keeping the regime there. He offered Maduro a chance to stay if he would give him the oil. Maduro wouldn't give him the oil. He's out. He's told, he said, if the woman doesn't do it, she'll face a fate worse than Maduro, meaning there's a B2 with her name on it. So he's talking turkey here, and he means it. And I think they directly understand what's at, and that could easily break things apart, even if President Trump doesn't want to.
Robert Pape, these are extraordinary times. We appreciate your insights.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Robert Pape, political science professor at the University of Chicago.